Hi, we're at Columbia University. I am speaking with Professor Joseph Stiglitz, Nobel Prize winner for economics. I've tried to look up actually what the prize was, and I know it has to do with asymmetrical information in the markets, but I don't know what that means.
All it means is that some people know something that other people don't know.
Well, then I think that was very appropriate for me to start with that question. Professor Stiglitz, what is so problematic with the idea of these big banks failing?
The problem with the big banks is that they are not only big, but they are all over the place. They do many different activities. And they're not only involved in banking, they're also involved in gambling, credit default swaps, derivatives. That's what makes it more complicated.
When the FDIC takes over a bank, it's essentially like a bankruptcy, and the government is providing the bridge loan.
Exactly. And it's so smooth, nobody even knows it. You go down to your bank, and one day it's owned by one person. You go down to the bank, and the other day it's been taken over and bought by somebody else.
Now, I don't even know who owns my mortgage now, never mind operate my bank.
Exactly. It won't make any difference in your life. It does make a little bit of difference for those who had invested, the shareholders, but that's the nature of risk. You do well sometimes, and you have to, the reason you get on average higher than normal returns than you would get, say, in a T-bill, is that you have to have downside risk.
Right.
The problem with the big banks is that they are involved in lots of other activities.
Is this a function of when the Glass-Steagall Act was repealed, that it allowed sort of the more traditional standard banking activities to be combined with those more sort of risky banking activities?
Absolutely. It exacerbated the problem. Back in the Great Depression, we said, there's a real problem here. You have your payments mechanism, your depository institutions. You don't want them contaminated by gambling,
right,
by risk-taking. So we have prudent, you might say, conservative banking on the one hand, and then you have the investment banks on the other hand. We made a big mistake, and I opposed it when I was chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors. It went through after I left, that you allowed the commercial banks to get involved in these very risky activities that are now bringing down the whole system.
So and I've been reading lately that there's a chance that Citibank and Bank of America, I mean, these are banks that people feel are essentially insolvent, that they're bankrupt, that they exist only because of the tax dollars they're getting or the potential of future tax dollars they're getting. So let's say the government came in, you call it nationalization, you call it receivership, you call it pre-privatization, whatever it is.
Conservatorship.
Conservatorship, whatever it is. What are people so afraid of? Or is it simply there are people who are like, I don't want to lose my money even though I made this bet?
It's mostly the latter. I mean, and I think I have to give the Citibank credit and the other big banks. They've scared the American people. You know, they've got them so scared that they don't want to allow this to happen because they have these nightmare scenarios.
Right.
We've confused two basic ideas. One is saving the banks, and the other is saving the bankers and the shareholders. So, for instance, you could take Citibank into receivership, the shareholders would be wiped out, and it would just go on pretty much as it is, except you would change the incentive structures, which have led to all this gambling behavior. You change the management that has demonstrated an incompetence, and you begin to break it up, and you begin to change its behavior, so we won't keep pouring money, good money after bad, which is what we've been doing.